I'm currently sitting in my 2017 Police Interceptor utility, and like I've shown in my last videos, this one has already had the Explorer Center console swapped in, and I have installed my shifter pocket, which replaced where the shifter went, and I also have removed and covered with vinyl wrap the shifter letters. So here's one that hasn't had it done. You'll see it has these letters where the shifter indicator went. And so that has been covered in vinyl. And so I wanted to show how to do this on your Interceptor. And I wanted to show the new pocket that I've designed for these, which this is what I'm calling version 1. It's a pocket that slips in over the top, no tools or disassembly required. So it's super easy. Now that's version 1, but I've decided to make a better version. That has more of an OEM finish, but it does take a little bit more effort to install. Now, like with all my products, these are made from carbon fiber reinforced polycarbonate. So these are extremely heat and UV resistant and have really good dimensional accuracy, and they're just really tough. They're also impact and shock resistant. So you could probably drive over this thing without breaking it. So first thing we're going to do is remove my old phone mount. This is just a wireless phone mount. And so we'll remove this and set it aside. And now for removing this pocket, if you have one of my old, or the version 1, it's as simple as pushing to the side. And there's these little locking tabs that will come loose. And then you can pull the wire through for the wireless charger. And then this is the version 1, and those are the tabs that just lock in right underneath the chrome ring. Now next, we're going to open up our center console lid, and we're going to remove this trim piece right here, which is just held on with clips, and it has the cigarette lighter mounted into there. So it's just going to hang like that. Now there's normally a screw right here. I do not have mine on there currently. I think it's either a 7 or an 8 millimeter. It's a brass looking screw. So we're going to remove that. We can just lift up on here or use your trim tool like that, and it's just held on with clips. And it's kind of a up and then back motion. It is a lot easier if you remove these two the radio side plastic trim, but you don't need to, especially for the removal. So that's as simple as it is removing. Now I have some wires and stuff hooked up under here for the ambient lighting rings, which I also have available, as well as some my sync cables and stuff. So I won't show disconnecting all that because it may not apply to you, but that's as simple as it is of getting it out. So now I'm actually going to, since I've already done this one, let's go inside and I'll show you how to delete or cover this vinyl with vinyl and then install our version 2 pocket. So first thing we're going to want to do, it's just going to make it a lot easier to get this out of the way first, is applying this vinyl over these letters. And so what we're going to need for that is obviously our panel, and we're going to want it clean. So I recommend if it's really dirty, I want to use some interior detailer with some dish soap or something like that to get all the grime and crap out. You're also going to want to get it really clean in these cracks, which helps if you get like a paper towel on the edge of a card like this when it's wet in there with cleaner, and run along those edges and get all the gunk out. Mine's not that dirty, so I'm just going to use some glass cleaner just to mostly get the dust off. And then I have a microfiber rag that I'm going to just wipe off and try to get my fingernail in that crack. And then we're going to want to let it more or less dry. Then you're going to want a really sharp razor blade like an X-Acto knife. You're also going to want a card, or like a gift card or credit card that you can use to actually apply the vinyl. And so I'm just going to use this really flexible used up gift card. And then of course you're going to also need your vinyl. Now this vinyl is, I don't remember the exact brand. I think it's called R Vinyl. I got this off Amazon, and this is the closest color match I could get to the black. And you can see it's pretty close. There's a little bit of metallic in this black, and there's a little metallic in here. I'll put the link for this color in the description. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. You'll notice that mine is black. Yours may be like a silver aluminum color. So if the Explorer console, this piece, came from a 2016 and newer, well, 16 to 19 Explorer, it's going to have this black color. If you have an 11 to 15 Explorer console, it's going to be a silver color. And this color will match the little trim pieces that go on the side of the radio that clip in. So the kind of vinyl you get is going to depend on what color your pieces are on your Interceptor. So if you, like I said, if you have a 11, well, I guess it'd be a 13 to 15 Interceptor, you may have this more aluminum color. And this is the same brand. I believe this was called white white aluminum. And right now this one was out of stock as of the time I filmed this video, but hopefully it comes back in stock. I will link the description. When you buy these vinyls, obviously you can get any color you want. You don't have to color match. Make sure that it's one that uses a 3M vinyl material. There's a lot of others out there that are really cheap and they are pretty terrible to work with. But this 3M stuff applies really nicely, and you don't need much of it. It does have a protective clear layer on top of the vinyl that we want to leave, but it will look like you're scratching it up during the application process. Just know that there is, or at least should be, a protective film on top. So now that it's had some time to dry, pretty much what we're going to do is peel the white backing like that, and just a little bit. And you want to have a lot of excess, and you want to kind of place this in the middle so you have a lot of trimming space. So what I'm going to do is pretty much right where my finger is, in the middle. I'm going to place it about right here off the end. Now I'm going to start somewhere, not at the end. You kind of want to start in the middle and work out, because that's going to work bubbles out. So I'm just going to kind of push with a lot of pressure on my thumb and work this out as much as I can. You want to avoid wrinkles and kinks, especially on the ends, because then it's going to bunch up and not work real well. Okay, and so now that I've got this whole section done, I'm going to slowly start peeling this back the rest of the way and working it. And that way I'm not biting off more than I can chew with this, so it's not sticking everywhere. Now this whole top part is covered, the part you're actually going to see, but you don't want to cut it too tight to this edge because then it will end up peeling and it will look pretty bad, and over time it will peel all the way off. I'm going to start where we've got this kind of aggressive bend right here, and that is because it's going to want to peel up there. So I'm going to peel it down like this, press this lip down. So at this point I've got it all on there pretty good. I need to find my crease, so I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to kind of make an outline where my crease is. So the name of the game with this is just taking off little by little till it's all gone without scratching our panel underneath. So I know my crease is right here. Now I don't want to go on this side closer to me. There's just this little channel where the crease is. I kind of want to go as far away as I can so I have enough to wrap into that crack. So I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to push my blade in and get it past the panel underneath so I don't scratch it. So I'm down in that channel now, and I'm just going to run my blade. And then just to make sure I didn't cut too much, I'm going to put this in there and it will lay it all down nice and straight. Now at this point you may see some peeling, but it could just be the clear plastic film that goes on top, which is totally fine. Now luckily from about here back, this little ½ inch or it's going to be covered, so you don't need absolute precision, but the better job you can do on this, the better. Because if you get too much material, it's going to be hard to slide this into the slots that it mounts in. So what I'm going to do is now use my thumb to reveal this, these little notches and kind of areas, and we're just going to more or less just copy that. All right, now that we've got all that applied, this is going to be your most problem spot because where this bend is, it's going to want to pop up right there. So just make sure that you get it really good with your little tool and your fingernail. It's also going to be a little more flexible once you get this plastic off of it. Up here, this is all going to be covered. So instead of having a bunched up vinyl where it goes over that little indent, you can just cut around it, something like that, and just peel that away. And that'll help to prevent issues when installing. So it's around that little indent or detent. Okay, so I've got it on pretty good. You want to do all of your wiping before you remove the protective coat, because that's what otherwise you're going to scratch up your vinyl. If you get little wrinkles down here, not the big deal. You just want to make sure you get your wrinkles and air bubbles out of here, and I didn't get any air bubbles or wrinkles, which is great. Now you can see the little bit of an indent where it said like park, sport, neutral drive, all that stuff. That's inevitable. That's just going to be there. But the good news is it's pretty difficult to see. Probably only you are going to be able to see it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is peel the clear protectant film, and it's pretty easy to spot at this point because it's all this edge is that clear vinyl, and so you just peel it. And at this point, I can use a fingernail just to kind of make sure everything gets pushed in there. Hopefully you have long enough fingernails for that. And then you pull this all back, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And you can obviously do this with any color vinyl, but if you want the best color match, you can see, this vinyl is a little darker, but it does have a touch of metallic to it. But because there's no panels that directly butt up against it, it's kind of hard to notice. The biggest obvious spot is going to be where it transitions from here to the trim that goes above the radio. But if you compare it to this side, it's pretty stinking close, especially when you have the lighting inside of a vehicle. So that's it for applying the vinyl. Pretty straightforward. And the nice thing is when you buy this vinyl, it'll come with enough that you'll have 4 or 5 tries if you mess up. Okay, so now that we've got this ready to go, all we gotta do is install it in the vehicle. But before we do that, let's go ahead and turn it upside down and we'll mount in our pockets. So when you're looking on the underside here, first thing is that if you have, this is just a side note, if you have one of these that was clipped in right here underneath the shifting letters, you don't need this anymore. You can unplug it if you want and toss it. You actually don't want this installed anymore because it would actually shine letters through if you were to hook up the ambient lighting. This is where these clips would be where the leather boot is clipped in. So if you still have the leather boot, this is a good opportunity to remove that. And all you got to do is kind of pull these tabs back and pop that leather boot out. But that is also where we're going to be mounting our new piece. This is the pocket variant that I'm going to be using. So I have several variants of these. So to give you an example, this is the deep pocket. It's 4.8 inches deep. And this is good for putting phones or deeper objects in, but obviously it's a little harder to get in there to clean or whatever. I do have this in the 1.5 inch depth. I also have it in switch mounts. So if you wanted to pop rocker switches into these, you could have switches mounted in there, and it would look something like that. And then you would just pop your switches in. I have this in several variants for the switch mounts too. So if you wanted to have 3 switches, it would look like that. If you want to have 2 switches, if you were going to mount the aftermarket seat warmers that go with the integrate into the seat covers, I can custom make them to be that size as well. So you can have your heated or cooled seat controls right here. I also can make a blank one so that if you just want to make this spot flat, or if you want to drill and make your own custom stuff, that works. But the one I'm going to be using for my application is just the same as I was using before, but just the newer version, which is the phone mount. And so the phone mount has these little channels right here. This is normally just a 1.5 inch depth pocket, but the phone mount one has these little channels here, which the phone mount slides into like that, so it doesn't wiggle or shake. There's no play at all. But then if you want to decide not to use that mount, you can just pull the pedestal out and you still have your pocket minus these little notches. Then there's a little plug back in here, and you can just push on that, and this is the pass-through for a charging cable. So if you ran a charging cable under your console in through here, and then there's that same little channel underneath the pedestal coming in the back, so that way you could have your phone mounted and a charging cable coming out of here. But if you decide not to use it for that, it also comes with a plug, so you can just pop your plug in and it will hang out there and fill that hole if you don't want that. I'm going to leave this out because I'll be running a cable. And so when installing this, when you turn it upside down like this, you'll notice that the tabs are, there's a side that has the tabs closer in and the side that has the tabs closer out. First, we're going to start hooking these two because they're a little bit longer. So all I'm doing is hooking them kind of like this, but on the other side, because that's the side that's harder to see. So I'm just going to hook it kind of based on feel. And then all you gotta do is push down and then make sure that these tabs engage like that. And that's it. That's all there is to installing one of these pockets. That is the look right there, which is a lot cleaner than my old design. And one thing to note, the way I designed this is it has a lip that comes up that kind of creates a smoother transition to this chrome piece. And that's this lip right here. But then I made a big fat gap or a space right there so that when you look through it, you don't just see the emptiness underneath the console like an empty void. So that was kind of my attempt at making the most OEM looking finish. Now I can pop my pedestal in or run my wires through, which I'll do in the car. And then this is the default universal phone mount that I send off with all of my phone mounts. But you can swap it out for a lot of different types that have the same ball and socket style. And then of course, what I always like to offer is a rubber laser cut mat. And so that'll just make it easier to clean and make it look more OEM. So it's a little trickier on these phone holder ones because you got to get past these little guides for the phone mount. But just like that. And then this just slides on top. So now all I gotta do is go mount this up in our Interceptor. So now we're back in the vehicle. All we gotta do for this install is put it back the way we disassembled it. It is a lot easier for the reinstall if you remove these side pieces. That is as simple as getting a trim tool and getting in off the side here. Careful not to scrape up your dash here. And then just get a trim tool up underneath and just pry up these panels, which I've already loosened up, and they're just held in with these clips. They're integrated, just like right here and right here. You only need to release the bottom two, and you can kind of pull them out, roll them to the side, pivot them to the side. And that frees up so you can get these green clips into these slots. But first, I'm going to, since I'm going to be using the pass-through for the wire for my charger, I'm going to get my USB-C and feed it through. Just like that. And we will line it up. Push it down, and you clip these sides back on, which I already did. And then we can swing these guys around and clip them in like that. Then verify this still opens good, which it does. Now I'm not going to be using the default phone holder mount that I normally do. These do work really well, but my wife prefers that we use this wireless charger. And this uses the same size ball and socket, even though it's a different brand. This is a pretty universal size for a lot of phone mounts. So that just clicks in there, enough that we can still pivot it like that. And then we're going to feed our cable through the rest of the way and slide the mount down, plug it in,